This time on The Adventures of Tarka. We continue to take in our rainforest paradise and all of the wildlife that surrounds us here. We do a bit of accidental trespassing to get our first glimpse of the Panama Canal, and we begin to make our way downstream to return to the ocean. We have now been in our peaceful rainforest home afloat on Panama's Chagres River for several weeks. This wasn't really the plan, but we like it here enough that we haven't been super motivated to go deal with the Panama Canal just yet. Occasionally, though, our peace has been interrupted. We're not completely sure, but we think there are either government or tour operators giving scenic flights. Either way, it looks like a fun job. As much as we do like it here, it's already April, the rainy season is beginning, and the Pacific cyclone season isn't all that far away. So we will soon need to make our way into the Pacific. But first, we took our boats further upriver to see if we could get ourselves a sneak peek at the Panama Canal. Our timing couldn't have been better, as we got drenched in the process. We've actually been pretty lucky with the weather, and haven't had to put up with too much rain so far. And sometimes we really like it. It lets us fill our water tanks, cools things down, and we get to cozy up with a book down below. But we were a little concerned, being downstream of a large dam on a major river. The next day we took our dinghies up to the Gatun Dam, probably the most important component of the Panama Canal, as it's responsible for the lake that allows vessels to pass over the isthmus. It's a very large dam built mostly from earth over 100 years ago, and only the small spillway, seen here, is made of concrete. It looks like a new bridge is being constructed here, and so we parked our dinghies on the relatively secure construction site. It was then just a matter of scrambling up and down some mounds of dirt. Yeah. Gives you more.
Oh my god. Perfect way to go down.
But we did tread carefully, as the ponds around us were teeming with crocodiles. Although this one is just a baby.
He's underneath.
Oh yeah. We also encountered this little guy on our path.
We should lay down, he'll probably come up to us.
At the time we weren't sure what he was, but we later learned that it's called a Cody, and he's a member of the raccoon family.
What kind of bird is it?
I don't know.
It might be a toucan. Is it on that side?
We made our way up a hill, which is actually part of the dam holding back over 1 trillion gallons of water, and got our very first view of the traffic on the Panama Canal. Just north of the dam are the Gatun locks, which we accessed via a service road and found a place to watch the ships go up and down along the security fence. The canal doesn't sleep. Traffic moves day or night, rain or shine. These are the original locks and still see the most traffic. But new locks have recently opened just east of here that allow even larger ships to transit. Ships like these ones require the use of diesel-powered rail cars to handle their lines and walk them from one lock to another. And it looks like this guy has a fun job. There are no separate locks for small vessels. Tarka and Perception will be using these very locks to travel through the canal, and probably in the company of a big ship like this one. We'd be lying if we said we weren't just a little bit intimidated. Eventually we were noticed by the canal authorities, and informed that we were not supposed to be in this area, so we promptly returned to our dinghies. Seeing the canal firsthand has definitely given us some anxiety about our transit, but only in the way any once-in-a-lifetime experience should. On the way back to our boats, Brad spotted a mango tree, and well, we decided to try to get some fresh fruit.
Right here, right next to me. Get your camera.
Oh, okay.
Super happy to be here.
I think that might be business in the end.
I can't see, I'm facing straight to the line. It's not me.
He's like, don't steal my mangoes.
You're going, there's mangoes right here.
This cute little guy is a woolly possum, and as they are nocturnal, we probably woke him from his afternoon slumber.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
Monkeys or bears? What do you
Monkeys
think?
or birds?
I don't know.
I think they're monkeys.
I'm not sure. I think it's a bird, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're birds. These are some funny looking monkeys.
Yeah. It looks the same, like built in the tree, yeah.
Oh, that's
Look
definitely
at those wings.
definitely a monkey.
Monkey.
It's a flying monkey right there.
Having checked out the canal, we were now basically ready to wrap up our time on the river, but we first took our boats back downstream to our preferred spot to spend our final days here. Though the water is too murky to see more than a few feet here, our depth sounder tells us that the river is deep right up to its banks, which allowed us to take Tarka right up to the trees, not that we needed to or anything. Once back and anchored in our old spot, we spent our final few days taking it easy like our friends in the trees nearby. We did some more exploring in the dinghy, searching for those elusive big crocodiles.
So we just saw a big croc. And now we're gonna go tackle it, wrestle it to submission, and bring it back to the boat as a prize.
But we only ever saw a few juveniles basking in the sun. And I continue to try to catch a fish, though I'm not exactly sure what we might find in these waters.
What's he doing?
Oh,
We've
no.
seen some huge tarpon come flying out of the water.
Oh my god.
Was this an other fish?
Yeah, but I missed it.
And Brad was keen to catch one of these. I had just had my eyes on something small that we could throw on the grill. But neither of us had much success in our fishing endeavors. Eventually, and really quite reluctantly, we checked the weather and made plans for the short sail over to Shelter Bay, the anchorage for the small boats fixing the transit the Panama Canal. We let perception leave a day ahead of us, watching them disappear around the bend. And we got Tarka ready for the sail the next day. Even though it's only a short trip, we still need to stow the dinghy safely on deck, and that also means that it needs to be cleaned before being wrapped up. So we got to work.
Okay, come back here. Where are you going? Can't escape.
Stowing and launching the dinghy is definitely a hassle on a small boat. Larger boats have the advantage of being able to accommodate a dinghy inflated and upside down on the foredeck, or on even larger boats, hung off the davits on the stern. Those just aren't options for a little boat like Tarka. And it's a big reason we looked into constructing a stacking sailing dinghy back in Curacao, as that would at least make everything a little bit easier. But alas, this is what we've got. With everything ready, we enjoyed one last evening on the river all to ourselves, before saying goodbye for good. We are sad to leave the river, but we are excited for what lies ahead, as next up is the Panama Canal.
How do you know that I've seen it?
I just know.
How do you know?
I just know. That's not you can't answer that question.
Okay,
It's not
okay,
yes or no.
okay. Can I swim?
Yeah.
Still sharing.
Yeah.